Welcome to this channel. Today we will discuss about US dollars. In July 1944, while bombs still fell in Europe, 44 nations met in a hotel in New Hampshire and decided what money would mean for the next 80 years. They really were not planning any military strategy. They were not dividing territory or drawing any line to divide countries. They were designing a system so powerful that today, even when you buy oil, whenever a country borrows money, whenever a war is funded, the US dollar is in the rightly middle of it. And the most shocking part, a country wrote almost all the rules. This is the story of the 1944 meeting that made the US dollar king. Before 1944, international trade was really a mess. Imagine you are Brazil in 1935. You want to buy steel from Britain. Now Britain wants gold, but you don't have enough. So you pay in Brazilian currency, but Britain doesn't trust it. They demand French francs. Now France again wants US dollars, and you don't have those either. Every trade literally became a negotiation. Every border became a currency war. During the Great Depression, countries made it worse. They devalued their own currencies deliberately to make their exports cheaper. It was called competitive devaluation. It was economic warfare and a bloodbath. By the late 1930s, global trade had collapsed. Countries stopped trusting each other. The system was completely broken. And then World War II began. While Europe destroyed itself, America stayed rich. By 1944, the US held roughly two-thirds of all the world's official gold reserves. Two-thirds. Europe's gold had fled to America for safety. America's factories were producing weapons, supplies, and machineries for every allied nation. The world owed America money. America owed the world nothing. This was not an accident. This was the foundation of what came next. In July 1944, 700 delegates from 44 countries gathered at the Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. It was the most important economic meeting in history that almost nobody has heard of. Two men dominated the room. John Maynard Keynes, British, brilliant, arrogant. He wanted a new global currency, independent of any single nation. He called it Bancor. Harry Dexter White, American, quiet, ruthless. He wanted the US dollar at the center of everything. Keynes argued that no single country should control the world's money. White smiled and said, "Then whose gold will back it?" America had the gold, America had the power, America wrote the rules. Here is what they agreed to. Every country would fix its currency to the US dollar. The US dollar alone would be fixed to gold at $35 per ounce. It was elegant, it was brutal, it was simple. If you were France, your franc had a fixed value against the dollar. If you were Japan, your yen had a fixed value against the dollar. If you wanted gold, you could not get it directly from the ground. You had to go through Washington. The US dollar became the only bridge between every currency and gold. This meant one thing. Every country in the world needed US dollar to trade. Not gold, not their own currency, dollars. The meeting also created two institutions you still hear about today. The International Monetary Fund. Its job? Lend dollars to countries that ran out of them. The World Bank. Its job? Rebuild Europe using, you guessed it correctly, American dollars. Both institutes were headquartered in Washington DC. Both institutes were funded primarily by America. Both institutes made the world need dollars even more. Now, here is the twist. In 1971, President Richard Nixon broke the deal. America was spending too much. Vietnam, the Great Society, countries started chasing in their dollars for gold. America's gold reserve were draining. So Nixon simply announced, the dollar is no longer convertible to gold. Just like that. No vote, no negotiation. The foundation of the system gone. By all logic, the dollar should have collapsed. It didn't. Because in 1971, the world was addicted to dollars. Countries held them in reserves, banks lent in dollars, oil was priced in dollars. The gold anchor was gone, but the habit remained. Today, the dollar makes up roughly 60% of all foreign exchange reserves worldwide. When Russia invades Ukraine, the weapon America uses first is not a missile, it is the dollar. Sanctions cut countries off from dollar system and their economy freezes. When a country in Africa wants to build a port, they borrow in dollars. When a central bank wants to feel safe, they buy US Treasury bonds. This is the legacy of a 3-week meeting in a hotel in New Hampshire in 1944. One meeting, one currency, 80 years of dominance. Countries are trying to escape the dollar today. China, Russia, and even America's allies are exploring alternatives. But escaping a system built over 8 decades is not as easy as signing a new agreement. The dollar's power was born in 1944. Whether it dies there, that is the story still being written. If you want to understand what comes next, please do subscribe. The channel follows the money.